Welcome back to the 2016-2017 NBA preview. Today we are finally in the top 5, covering the 5th ranked team, the Toronto Raptors. My name is Josh, your Envyerz, and with me today, my co-host.
How's it going, guys? It's the King of the Fourth Quarter. Welcome back to the NBA preview.
So the Toronto Raptors, in my opinion, this team is a very, very good regular season team. In the playoffs, however, they're a completely other team. As you guys know, this team struggled against the Indiana Pacers, an injured Miami Heat team. And then they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, which was, kind of expected. The Cavs seem to be the number one contender in the Eastern Conference year after year, or whatever team LeBron James is on, rather.
And that's just how it's been for them recently. They perform very well in the regular season. When we get to the playoffs, this is the first time get out of the first round in a long time.
This is the first time, this is like a career franchise high right here. They broke the amount of wins they won in the regular season because they're an amazing regular season team. And they also got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I don't believe this Toronto Raptors team has ever done that before. And it's kind of sad because this team, they're lucky they're in the East, because if this team was in the West, they would definitely not be in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, just the Western Conference has so many stacked teams. Yeah, it'll be really, really tough for them to do that if they were over there. But luckily, they're where they are.
Yeah, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Dwayne Casey kept his job. So congratulations. We of the North, I guess. They have a whole country behind them, even though some people don't like them in Canada. Rest in peace, Vancouver Grizzlies. So moving on to the offseason moves for this Toronto Raptors team. This Toronto Raptors team didn't make that much moves in the offseason. Their biggest acquisition and their only major acquisition is Jared Sullinger. They lost Bismack Biyombo. They lost James Johnson, who just a year ago, I had people in my NBA preview saying James Johnson is a better overall player than DeMar DeRozan. I'd love to see that man comment on this video as well. And Luis Scola. They drafted Jakob Poeltl at number 9.
Well, the offseason was kind of a scratch. Of course, Bismack Biyombo leaving is kind of a big deal, but
is it?
Like you mentioned, I honestly think it is.
He only came alive in the playoff time. He wasn't that dominant player in the regular season.
But I feel like he'd be helping his team so much more if he was here. I feel like next season he's going to play well in Orlando, and I feel like he would have had a better season here in Toronto if he would have stayed.
He's playing behind Vucevic. That whole Orlando Magic situation is completely messed up.
But I still think him individually will have a pretty nice season. But it would be a better one if he would have stayed in Toronto because, well, he would have been their defensive stopper. Jonas Valanciunas is not really known for his defense, and that's why one of the reasons a lot of people are hoping that he steps up, because they really don't have that. I mean, they have the rookies, but then again, how much do you want to rely on rookies? True. Especially on a contending team. So I think Bismack Biyombo Stan would definitely had the team higher on my list at least. But they bring in Jared Sullinger, which is okay, I guess. One thing, my biggest knock on this team over the years is just their lack of a power forward, man. They really, really have needed a power forward for years now, and they still don't have it. Patrick Patterson is all right. Jared Sullinger is all right, but I feel like they need a better guy there, and they just couldn't get it this offseason. Maybe next offseason, I don't know. But, yeah.
Well, maybe if Jared Sullinger loses a couple pounds, he'll be able to fill out that starting rotation above Patrick Patterson, because this team, they want to have a stretch four. But like you said about the whole Bismack Biyombo thing, this team doesn't really have any defensive big guys, just looking at this rotation, which we will soon. So, although Bismack Biyombo, in my opinion, wasn't that big of a loss, defensively, it might be a little problem, just considering I don't know how much you want to rely on the rookies. But I like this team. I like this team. The roster is okay.
Yeah, they also have Lucas Nogueira, or Bebe, who's actually a pretty good defender and big. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No grown man should call another grown man Bebe.
Yeah, I know, but hey, that's his nickname. That's his nickname. So I'm just gonna go by it because it's easier than saying his last name. He's actually a pretty good defending big. I don't think he'll be Bismack Biyombo, but now that I'm thinking about it, they may not have to rely on those rookies as much. But still, Bismack probably would have been better for him.
Yeah, Bismack's been in the league a few years longer, so. So with all this talk about the rotation, let's take a look at this Toronto Raptors rotation now. So the projected starting lineup for this Toronto Raptors is Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, DeMar Carroll, Patrick Patterson, and Jonas Valanciunas. While their bench looks like Corey Joseph, Norman Powell, Terrence Ross, Jared Sullinger, and Jakob Poeltl.
I like their bench a lot. I think it's one of the strongest benches in the league. Corey Joe has proven to be a nice backup, and Norman Powell just surprised a bunch of people last year. I think honestly those two guys could be considered like 6 man of the year candidates next season. At least that's what I'm predicting. One of those two may be on the horizon as far as that. Because Norman Powell? Yeah, he had a pretty solid season last year.
Man, though?
Yeah, he had a pretty solid season. I think he can continue that, build on that season, and back up DeMar DeRozan pretty well there.
Overall, I really do like this rotation, the starters, the bench, but last year they won 56 games without DeMar Carroll for a good majority of it. In my opinion, I feel like DeMar Carroll at this point is expendable. I don't know how much better he'll help this team or if he'll make this team worse by just being on the court more. So it's going to be an interesting factor to see what happens with DeMar Carroll. I don't hear any trade rumors around the Toronto Raptors team for getting rid of DeMar Carroll. And maybe they want to, test the waters and see if DeMar Carroll can push them over the edge like he really helped Atlanta with a 3-and-D.
Yeah, I think they really have faith in him, and that's why we haven't heard rumors, even though he set out a large amount. I think he only played like 20 games last season, so he set out a large amount. But I think they believe in him enough to keep him around, at least test the waters, as you mentioned, at least one more year.
It would really worry me if last year the Toronto Raptors won 56 games and then this upcoming year they regress a step. Maybe they only win 50 games or something because DeMar Carroll was in the lineup or something along those lines. That would be a bad look for DeMar Carroll, and then maybe you would see some more trade rumors surrounding him. Now moving on to the projections for this Toronto Raptors team. This Toronto Raptors team, as we said, won 56 games, lost 26, had a franchise record, a franchise year for this team. They're doing amazing things up in the North. And under, where do you see this team being this upcoming season?
I'm going to go under, but not by much. I'm saying like 53, 54 wins. Just because I honestly think that their loss of Bismack is a huge blow to their team. Jared Seller just doesn't improve their roster that much. One thing we didn't talk about much was just how amazing Kyle Lowry was last year. I don't think we talked about him at all. We haven't mentioned his name. So I just want to say, had an amazing season. I think he's going to build on that. So even with that, I still go under.
And I wouldn't call Kyle Lowry amazing in the playoffs.
Oh, no, definitely not in the playoffs. I'm referring to regular season. The playoffs were totally
regular season. This Raptors team is a regular season team. And they're lucky it's the East. That's all I'm trying to add to this input right here. But I see the Raptors. I don't see them improving. I definitely don't see them improving from a 56 win record. I don't see them being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but who knows? They were just one game behind the Cleveland Cavaliers last season. Maybe if LeBron James decides to rest a few games this upcoming season, maybe they could snag that number 1 spot. But I'm gonna go 56, 55 around there, so about even, maybe a little bit under, because DeMar Carroll is a huge question mark for me. I don't know if he can improve this team as much as people think.
Yeah, I think we in agreement on that. I do think that he'll be an upgrade from James Johnson, who started a lot of games last year.
I mean, not if you're that one guy from last year who said James Johnson should be a starter over DeMar DeRozan. So, and if you're that guy, you don't think that's true. You think that's a false statement right there.
Yeah.
So overall, this is where we stand on the Toronto Raptors. This is our projection for this Toronto Raptors team. It's a pretty good ranking in my opinion. I feel like this is perfect for the Toronto Raptors, especially after what they did last season. But let us know in the comment section below, do you agree or disagree with our rankings of this Toronto Raptors team? And if you enjoyed, please leave a like on this video, share it on any social media because it really helps this series grow and our channels as well. And speaking of our channels, all of our social media links will be in the description if you wish to follow us on any of them. But with that said, we really hope you guys enjoyed.